Hello, friend. Come on in. The tea is warm. Reggie's keeping a watchful eye on everything. He actually looks like he's just waiting for an excuse to get into a little mischief. And I am so glad you've joined me here in the craft room. If you've just finished watching Sarah's story, you'll remember I mentioned I'd hidden a little gift for you. If you haven't downloaded it yet, you'll find the free printable of the traveling journal cover linked below this video. It's the very same cover we're going to use today. So grab your printable, gather your supplies, pour yourself a cup of tea, and let's make something beautiful together. Today we're going to begin creating our own traveling journal, just like the one Sarah discovered. This will become a place to collect the letters, stories, and little treasures we gather as we journey through Willow Hollow together. For my journal, I chose an A5 hardbound notebook with a craft paper cover. I picked this one because ordinary craft glue adheres really well to the surface. If your notebook has a laminated, glossy, or coated cover, you may find that bookbinding double-sided tape gives you a much stronger hold. I also decided to make my printable cover just a little smaller than the notebook itself. I wanted to leave a narrow border around the edge of the image so that the scrapbook paper will show through. To cover the rest of the notebook, I picked up 2 coordinating sheets of scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby. For each piece, I cut the paper to fit the cover, but I left an extra quarter-inch widthwise. That little bit of extra paper will wrap around onto the spine, and it'll just give it a cleaner finish. Then I cut one more strip from the same scrapbook paper. This piece is the height of the notebook and 2.5 inches wide. I'll use it to cover the spine and tie the whole journal together. So gather your supplies, pour yourself a cup of tea, and let's begin creating our very own Willow Hollow journal. Now we're ready to begin assembling the cover. If you're using a pattern paper with a direction to it, take a moment to make sure it's facing the right way before you glue anything down. It's a small detail, but it makes all the difference once the journal is finished. I applied a generous layer of glue to the back of the scrapbook paper, carefully lined it up with the notebook cover, and gently lowered it into place. Once it was positioned, I smoothed it out with my hands, and making sure that everything adhered evenly. Then I repeated exactly the same process for the back cover. Once both sides were attached, I added a little bit more glue to the quarter-inch flaps that extended onto the spine and pressed them securely in place. These flaps help create a neat transition between the covers and the spine. Next, I positioned the printable journal cover on the front of the notebook. Before adding any glue, I took a moment to make sure I was happy with the placement so that the scrapbook paper border was even all the way around. Once everything looked right, I glued it down and smoothed it into place. Now it's time to finish the spine. After applying glue to the back of the 2.5-inch strip, I carefully lined up where I wanted it to begin, making sure, that it was straight and aligned, right? Once the strip was in position, I pressed it down firmly on the front cover. Then I stood the notebook up on the edge of the spine and slowly rolled it across my work surface toward the back cover, smoothing the paper with my hands as I went. I find this rolling technique gives the nicest finish because it allows the paper to naturally wrap around the curve of the spine without creating wrinkles or bubbles. It's a simple trick, but it really helps achieve a professional-looking result. And with that, we now have the start of our very own journal. Thank you so much for spending a little time crafting with me today. I hope you'll join me next for episode 2 of our Willow Hollow story, where we'll settle in with Lena and discover where the adventures of our little Willow Hollow journal will take us next. Until then, I hope you'll find a few quiet moments for yourself, maybe a warm cup of tea and a little time to create. Thank you for being here and for being part of our little Willow Hollow community. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself, and I'll be waiting to welcome you back to Willow Cottage.